This floor, although I am an unscheduled speaker. I was not supposed to speak. I had come for another meeting to Delhi. But when I heard that my university representatives are coming, I said hello and express the solidarity that is required for the promotion of the Rishi spirit. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I won't take much time. Now, internationalization of higher education has become the driving force. From a little village, when the flow of ideas from across national boundaries has been facilitated, and therefore the knowledge production is no longer confined to a locality or the nationality, but it has become international. So internationalization of higher education has become the sine qua non of the development of higher education. And India has also participated in this process in the right earnest. But internationalization of higher education also requires certain global benchmarks. And it is in this context, the Rishi project is particularly significant because it has tried to link Indian institutions to the higher education institutions in Europe to develop to enable the Indian institutions to develop the global benchmarks. My university, Adams University, has participated in right earnest. And my colleagues will, in their own presentation, they will highlight the points in which we have proceeded in terms of the internationalization of the curriculum, development of infrastructure, creation of international spirit within the higher education system of Adams University. They will speak. But I am particularly impressed by the fact that Rishi Project's aims for global interaction not only within the faculty but within the entire academic community of the university. And it also tries to involve the non-teaching staff. This is particularly important because you cannot have a situation where the faculty becomes globalized, the rest of the community doesn't become globalized. So I particularly congratulate the Rishi Project for emphasizing this point. Now, I would like to express certain points of concern while congratulating all efforts to internationalize higher education. For example, when we speak of the internationalization of curriculum, we should be careful that this does not lead to the stultification of the local diversity. We cannot have a situation where, for the sake of internationalization, there could be the danger of the hegemony of the North over the South. There has to be a fine-tuning, there has to be the development of a fine balance, there has to be an interaction, both at the global level, as well as the local level, as well as the national level. Because we should remember, India is a pluralistic country. It has diversity in terms of geography, in culture, in religion, in rituals, in terms of imparting of knowledge, in terms of the notion of knowledge itself. So that has to be kept in mind when we speak of the internationalization of the curriculum. And I'm sure Rishi Project, if it is renewed, will push through this particular aspect of the intermingling of the global, the national, and the local in terms of India's interaction with the outside world. I say this because international connections in higher education is not fundamental. Internationalization or internationalism is inherent in any university education. And we need not forget the fact that India has a great tradition of this international connectivity. I refer to the experiment that we had in Takshashila and Nalanda, where thousands of years back, people from all over the world came to study in these ancient universities, and there was remarkable dissemination of creation and dissemination of knowledge. And subsequently, all front-ranking universities of India, starting with Jawaharlal Nehru University, Delhi University, this is a wonderful presentation, Calcutta, Jadavpur, Madras, Jamia Millia, Mumbai, Pune, naming all front-ranking Indian universities have developed or had developed international connections. But today when we speak of the internationalization of higher education, we speak in a different context. And the context is the inclusion of education as a service sector in the GATS. Once that was done, once education was included as a service sector in the GATS regime, the entire notion of international connectivity changed. Because now after this, after the GATS regime, when we speak of internationalization, we speak in competitive terms. We do not speak in cooperative terms. So that, I think, is very, very important. And I would request the Rishi project, when you're going for further extension, to ensure that the spirit of cooperation becomes dominant over the spirit of competition. The last COVID experiment has shown how international cooperation in the field of knowledge can make wonders, particularly in the field of vaccine production, the dissemination of knowledge of vaccine, and also distribution. So that has to be a driving force, not competition, but cooperation in terms of international connectivity. So as India is concerned, India had tried to initiate the process of internationalization as long as 2010. There was a bill which was passed, but it never became an act. But with the new education policy 2020, internationalization of Indian higher education has received a new boost. And we need to take advantage of it. But again, I say, not in the spirit of competition, but in the spirit of cooperation. Various schemes have already been announced to facilitate student and academic mobility of the Indian, so far as Indian higher education institutions is concerned. The UGC has initiated schemes of twinning of degrees, dual degrees, transfer of credits across national borders, joint supervision of degrees, and most important, establishment of the campus of foreign universities in India, as well as provisions of our institutions establishing their campuses outside India. So there are all these possibilities, and when we speak of internationalization of Indian higher education system, the field has been cleared so far as both our faculty and students going abroad and foreign faculties and foreign students coming here. However, again, I would like to sound certain notes of caution. I strongly believe that internationalization of higher education does not necessarily mean establishment of foreign campus in India. Now, dissemination of knowledge is not a brick and mortar issue. It is a matter of spirit, it is a matter of collectivity, and that can be done even without the establishment of foreign campuses. Of course, that facilitates, but that cannot be the only condition. For example, there is now the notion of transnational education, TNC, which is particularly promoted by the British University, where a student does not need to be physically present in a foreign university, but she or he can take advantage of foreign courses for a part-time course, through online degree, spend some semesters and get a dual degree. So therefore, a student does not have to spend a lot of money to be physically present there, but can have the benefit of international education. So that also needs to be explored. We need to also fruitfully take advantage of some of the Government of India schemes, like Global Initiative for Academic Networking, where the Government of India funds the visits of foreign faculty, and the Indian host university spend part of their course module or a fixed time in a host university in India. The ICCR funds it, and the delegation to the UK. And I was struck, the University of London has already initiated an open degree program where a student sitting in Calcutta, Hyderabad, Bombay or Madras can access their knowledge portal, their courses, and gain a University of London degree. So that is a massive program that they initiated. So these are also students who most of them do not have the wherewithal to go and study abroad, to take advantage of the international knowledge network. Another important challenge report suggests that 25% of technical graduates and 10 to 15% of other graduates are not instantly employed. So there is a great need of university industry connect. And in developing this university industry connect, internationalization of Indian higher education system would be a great help. And I would again suggest that the Rishi project formulators can take up this particular notion of university industry partnership program and how this can be facilitated through the international connectivity. Yet, when we join the process of internationalization of higher education, we need to be aware of certain issues, and I would like to highlight some of them. according to the latest Government of India report, a little more than 2% of the total students enrolled in India, little more than 2% of the total students enrolled in India get an opportunity to cross national borders for studying. And to facilitate this interaction of the Indian students with the outside world, the UGC has already published regulations concerning the operation of foreign campuses in the country. And I think in the context of globalization, this is inevitable. But when we speak of internationalization of higher education through the opening of foreign campuses, we need to be aware of certain challenges. And I'd like to highlight some of these challenges. First, it would be inevitable that foreign providers would restrict themselves only to market-oriented and demand-driven professional and technical disciplines. And unless we are very, very careful of it, what will happen will be a complete mismatch between the promotion of one form of knowledge at the expense of the other forms of knowledge. So this is required particularly because the NEP 2020 itself argues for the imparting of the holistic knowledge. So when we invite foreign universities, we need to be very, very careful about that. It is also inevitable that the foreign universities would tend to operate in the urban areas. Now, we already have a great geographical divide. Most of the good universities and institutes are located in urban areas, which facilitates the urban students to get access to quality education at the expense of the rural students getting access to quality education. Now, if a situation arises where the global providers, the foreign providers only confine themselves to urban areas, we would have a further divide. So when foreign universities come, we need to be very, very careful to encourage them to not to limit themselves to only one set of subjects and not to limit themselves only to the urban areas. Thirdly, Rishi speaks of equity, internationalization speaks of equity, and in terms of internationalization of higher education, we should also ensure the principle of equity and access so far as international higher education is concerned. Otherwise, we will be creating a new social divide among the population, which again, the new education policy does not include. It is also pertinent to point out that when we speak of the internationalization of higher education, we should try to develop amongst the Indian students the whole environment, the whole atmosphere, the entire academic climate, which has enabled first-rate global universities to flourish. Otherwise, just internationalization of curriculum won't help. International curriculum should also include this particular aspect which I am highlighting. It is also necessary that when foreign universities come, there should be level playing field so far as the foreign universities and Indian universities are concerned. There cannot be a situation where foreign universities will have one set of rules, Indian universities will have another set of rules. If that happens, Indian universities won't be able to compete with the foreign universities. So that is again, I'm very, very apprehensive unless we are very, very careful right from the very beginning. There will be a new problematic within the higher education system. Yes, foreign universities are welcome, but I am very, very confident that our Indian academics are very, very competent to compete with the foreign counterparts. But if the level playing field is different, then we will be at a discount. So that also needs to be taken care of. Again, the new education policy has rightly underscored the importance of what it calls the decolonization of the knowledge. There was an entire range of Indian education system, Indian knowledge system, which had been stultified as a result of colonialism. This is particularly true in terms of science, in terms of medicine, where because of the colonial interests, certain Western norms, Western patterns, Western system was introduced at the cost of the indigenous norms. And the new education policy rightly emphasizes the decolonization of the knowledge. Now, when we speak of the internationalization of higher education, we should also try to ensure that this does not undermine this process of the decolonization of the Indian knowledge system. Of course, the decolonization of the Indian knowledge system does not mean archaism. I do not mean that we need to go back to the past in totality. But we also need to emphasize the fact that yes, there was a knowledge system which had been stultified by colonialism. And that needs to be unfolded. So we need to ensure that internationalization does not lead to this particular process. What I'm trying to argue therefore is that we need to have a dynamic strategy for the internationalization of Indian higher education system. It cannot be a brick and mortar strategy. It cannot be a plain internationalization of the curriculum strategy. It cannot be only adoption of particular administrative norms, which are perhaps valid for the North, but might not be valid for our universities. And particularly is important that we need to ensure that our cultural pluralism, our social pluralism, our diversity is maintained when we go in for internationalization of the knowledge system, internationalization of higher education. In other words, we have to strike a balance between modernity and tradition. Therefore, there is a whole range of discourse which now speaks of traditional modernity and not complete modernity. I would like to conclude that in India itself, we have a whole range of scholars, we have a whole range of thinkers who have visualized what higher education should be. For example, Mahatma Gandhi, the father of our nation, considered real education, I quote, as an all-round drawing of the best in child and man in mind, body and spirit. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, the philosopher president of India, felt education, I quote, initiation into higher life, initiation into a world which transcends the world of space and time. We have Swami Vivekananda who wanted education to be the manifestation of perfection in man. We have finally Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore, the Nobel laureate of India, who felt that true education, I quote, does not merely give us information, but makes our life in harmony with all exercise, unquote. So when we go in for internationalization of higher education, we should ensure that the ground on which we stand should not become shaky. We should keep our doors and windows open so that we allow the wind to come and make us think afresh. But we cannot allow a situation where the wind coming from the doors and windows unsettles the very foundation of the house. So that should be the spirit of Rishi, where I think we have a large number of Indian universities participating with the international universities. So there should be a two-pronged strategy where Indian universities should also collaborate amongst themselves so that we strengthen our own foundation. And at the same time, we also collaborate with the European universities with a collective spirit, with a collective forum. It should not be competitive, it should be collaborative. It should not be me, but we. And if we accept that spirit, I'm sure internationalization of higher education, as envisaged by Rishi, would break new grounds. I thank you for giving me the time. If I said something sane, you can consider them. If I said something insane, you can throw my work out. But what I would strongly urge that Rishi has provided a new entry point in the sphere of the internationalization of Indian higher education, which is certainly the need of the hour. And I strongly implore that we should try to get more funding from the European Commission.
Erasmus
Mundus 2. The new applications are coming up, I think, in April. Yeah. And I think I request you to explore possibilities of putting in a new application with all our collaborating Indian partners so that we act as a team and show to India that yes, we can break the ground, we can make internationalization of Indian higher education a reality in true spirit so that there can be no clash between tradition and modernity, where the diversity of India is maintained and where our house is kept in order while we encounter the challenge from the West. Thank you very much indeed.
Jadavpur University as a Vice Chancellor for longest period, about 8 years. And from there, he was the instrumental of any regulation you say in technical and non-technical, both UGC and you can say the AICT. He was the policy maker, and he has become in 2000, the last year, July 1 onwards, he was AIU president. I think he's ex-AIU president, and now I think with you people, Admas University Vice Chancellor, you are very lucky. Das sir is a very, very, the straightforward human being, and he was a policy maker. So I just want to tell you also, because I had an opportunity to work with him as an expert with him in NB and NAC in that.
So thank you very much, Ranjan, for this very inspiring speech. I mean, I'm very agree with you that in higher education nowadays, it have to be a spirit of collaboration and competition. Even still, we are in the, let's say, in the market of education market. And of course, institutions have to look for their own benefit to get the ranking, etc. But the collaboration is the only way to get the benefit for all. So our research project is a good example of this, of collaboration. We have a variety of institutions here, from leading state universities to small private universities from all our 5 big regions of India. I think we reached this collaboration spirit because in the beginning, the colleagues from different universities started, where are you from? Well, my university is the rank, etc. When we started to work in groups, so we forget about the institutional belongings, but we start to work as friends, collaboration, and we are looking for this. If you're talking about the new project, of course, we have been discussing these days. So this have to be really with this group of friends, and this is establishment of the human and cultural relations among Indian universities, but also between Indian universities, European universities, but also between European universities. We are now more connected with colleagues from our universities. So this project we can also see not as a get of a result, but to establish these relations that helps not to get only project results, but to contribute to the development of higher education for the benefits for all. So I'm really happy and very grateful to you to be with us today. For your personal involvement is very important for us, for all colleagues, and we are sure that we will be thinking on how to proceed with Rishi or to make a new project, and we will be very happy to count on your participation because your support is very essential for this project.
I completely agree with that. I just share you one or two examples. See, I go very often in Indian delegations. Now, when I represented Calcutta University or Jadavpur University, so I go to university, I say, I want to have a, oh yes, Calcutta, Jadavpur, this is there in NIRF, this one, NAC, this one. But when I go up and say, I'm from Adamas, are you in the NIRF rank? Are you in the QS ranking? So, but your approach is completely different from the other approaches of internationalisation. So therefore, I always say, Rishi project has provided a new entry point, where there could be collaboration within the Indian counterparts and also collaboration, a joint collaboration of the Indian counterparts with European counterparts. This does not happen when you only speak of bilateralism. I would say that bilateralism and multilateralism should go in hand in hand, and Rishi project provides a great entry point for that. So I strongly plead that when the new call comes, you should tie up with all our friends and develop a project and tie up with our European friends so that we can really make a breakthrough and tell the other models of internationalization, no, Rishi is different from other models.